Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use user overrides or group overrides to give extensions of time or extend open or closing dates for individual students or groups of students. So assuming that you've already created your quiz and that quiz is timed or has an open and close date, you may or may not have an open and close date, but for this video, I have an open date, a close date, and a time limit. Go ahead and select Save and Display. And then from your quiz menu, you're going to click the gear in the top right corner and the quiz administration menu will appear. From this menu, you can edit your test settings so you can change the start date or close date as well as the time. You can also edit quiz to add questions or edit questions you already have. You can preview the quiz, and if you click the results drop down menu, this is where you'll access manual grading to grade essays or other question items that require manual grading. I'm using the Snap theme, but if you are using the Boost or Clean theme, this quiz administration menu may be on the left hand side. It may already be revealed and opened. You may not need to reveal it. If you're in the edits, if you're on the edit, if you have editing turned on, you may be able to see this menu already, but I'm in the Snap theme. So for Snap users, you're going to click the gear in the top right corner. So I'm going to go ahead and click on user overrides. And as you can see, I currently have one student who has a user overrides. I'm going to click the gear just so you can see how that override is made. Here's the student, and she has an open and close date just like everyone else, but the time limit for my quiz is 30 minutes and I want to give her an additional 30 minutes so that she has an hour. You can require a password if you want to. It basically means that a student would have to enter a password in order to access the quiz. I don't think it's really necessary because the override is specific to that user, and so if they're already authenticated through logging into your Moodle course, then a password really isn't necessary. So right now I don't have a password here. There's no password. So I'm just going to save that. If I wanted to add another student who also got an hour override, instead of just entering them all on different pages, I can just click save and enter another override, and then I can type the name of the other student that gets that same override and I can save it. So now you see both of these students are now getting a user override. I want to show you a couple of other overrides that you can add. So just by entering the student's name, I can add the student who I want to have the override. I may have a student who says, I'm actually going to be out of town. Can I complete the quiz a day early or can I complete the quiz a day late? So you can actually change the opening or closing dates or times for a specific student. You can say, okay, I'm going to give you from the 24th to 25th to complete the quiz, or whatever really makes the most sense for that student based on what they're asking you for. And if that's the case, I can leave their quiz at the same 30-minute time. The last situation where you may want to use a user override is if a student is taking the test and in the middle of taking the test their computer dies or the power goes out, and by the time they get their computer back up it's eaten away 10 or 15 minutes of their time, and so they haven't actually gotten the full time. So let's say that happened, a student lost 15 minutes on their exam and they reach out to you and you believe that their explanation is valid and you want to give them an additional 15 minutes. What you're going to do is the time that you remaining or the additional time you want them to have, you can go ahead and enter that time. And then under attempts allowed, you're going to change the attempts from 1 to 2 attempts. So what's going to happen is when this student logs in to take the test for a second time, their quiz will pick up from where they left off. So if they completed 15 out of 20 questions in their first attempt, those 15 answers will still be there and they will have 15 minutes to complete 16 through 20. It's very important that you, if you're changing the time, that you don't change the attempts allowed until after um, they've reported that glitch to you. Otherwise, they'll have 15 minutes on both attempts, which is not what you want. And I don't see why you would give them an additional attempt if there hasn't been a problem. If you're wanting to give everyone in your class 2 attempts, you can set that in the original quiz settings. You can give everyone in your class 2 attempts. This override is specifically to give one or a small group of students multiple attempts. So that's how you can do the 2 attempts or change the attempts. And in that situation, you may also need to extend the time for that student because maybe they will need an extra day to go back in and complete the quiz. And if that's the case, you can just extend the date of the closing. Okay, I forgot to add a student. So once you're done, you can save that. The last thing I want to show you is the group override. So from the gear in the top right corner, if you have a large, I'm going to click group overrides. If you have, let's say you have a group of students that all get double time, and let's say you have 10 out of your 30 students, instead of adding 10, instead of adding, double time to every single quiz and having to add each one of those students individually, you can actually put all those students in a group and you can just add an override for students in those groups. So right now I have an accommodations group, and if I click on settings, you can see that my accommodation group gets 1 hour as opposed to the 30 minutes. If I click on the name of the group, which is accommodations, you can see that I have two students in this group, Robert and Amber, and so I can just add their group accommodation to every single quiz and without having to add them individually. Now, if you wanted to create a group, if you click the gear in the top right hand corner and under course administration, there is a listing called users and then groups. I'm going to show you this from the course page so it's a little clearer. So from your course page, any page in your just your actual course, you click the gear in the top right hand corner. There's a course administration menu, select users, and then from the user mid drop down, select groups. So right now I have accommodations group. If you want to make a new group, you select create group. You give that group a name and save it. And then you'll select add or remove users. And then you'll just select the students that you want to put in this group and click add and back to groups. And now you've created a sample group and or whatever your group is, and for any quiz or even assignments you can add user or group overrides for that entire group. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at ajkroom@bsc.edu. Thanks for watching.